So, for the rest of this first half of the session, I'm going to look at why daft beliefs don't die. And here's the first of these papers. This one was published in the year 2000 in a magazine, actually, rather than a scientific journal, called Skeptical Inquirer. And I put the URL up there on the screen. It's also on the reading list, so you can download it. And Lester made this argument that he was trying to work out why people can believe strange things despite the evidence that's around them. And he argued that there was a sort of evolutionary disposition to believe things in the absence of evidence, that it was actually beneficial for us to be able to do so. That holding beliefs in the absence of evidence allows us to consider things, to hold them in our mind, in the absence of any sensory evidence for them. So, when things go out of mind, out of view, we don't think they stop existing. You might have heard about this in children, object persistence. And doing that can improve our ability to reason about things that aren't there. It improves our ability to survive through planning. So he said that eons ago, our primitive farming ancestors, they had to learn, or that predators in the jungle, on the savannah, wherever they were, didn't stop existing the moment they went out of sight. The moment they couldn't hear them anymore or smell them anymore. And the evolutionary argument is, imagine that there were lots of these little early shrew-like primates hiding in their holes because a saber-toothed tiger had walked past. Imagine half of them have got the belief that it still exists even when you can't hear, see or smell it. And the other half don't believe that. They think, can't hear, see or smell a saber-toothed tiger? No saber-toothed tiger. Well, that latter half might pop their heads out of the hole and go and look for berries. Whereas the ones that think it still exists, even though I can't see it, stay in the hole. They're safe. The ones that go out to get the berries get eaten. They don't have any more babies. There are no more little shrew-like primates produced by those. So the ones who stayed in the hole are the only ones that have babies and reproduce. And so the species acquires the tendency to believe things continue to exist in the absence of evidence. They believed, so they survived. So Lester's argument is that without such beliefs, we couldn't know about the world beyond our senses. We wouldn't be able to do this abstract reasoning that actually sets us up as Homo sapiens to do all the complicated sorts of thinking that we can do and other animals don't seem to be able to do with the same facility. Our beliefs have to ignore what our senses are telling us. We're set up to believe in the absence of evidence. If our early ancestors doubted dangers in the jungle when it got dark, they wouldn't have lasted long. So this is why the beliefs don't die when you do provide them with evidence. People are set up to hang on to their beliefs. And he's got this jigsaw puzzle-y picture of the brain, not just because it looks like those old Victorian pictures of phrenology skulls and so on, but because beliefs tend to fit together and reinforce each other. They become evidence for each other. Even though there may be no external evidence in the world, a set of mutually supporting beliefs can be very hard to tackle. It's no good you arguing about creationism with someone who was brought up in a Southern Baptist college in the USA, because not only do they believe in creationism, they believe all sorts of other things that depend upon that and that support that belief. And so you've got a hard job. You can't just defeat one false belief. You have to delete everything that they believe. Their whole worldview has to be challenged. Beliefs fit together and provide evidence for each other. And you also tend to go out and seek evidence that fits your beliefs. So, sensory data, any tests or arguments you're going to present to a creationist have to overcome the whole system of knowledge. And from that, it's actually amazing that we can ever change anything you believe. So I've got a tough task over the next 5 weeks to convince you that all 5 of those false beliefs about psychology really and truly are false. And I bet some of you will cling on to 1 or 2. But there's another thing about these 5 beliefs. If you look at these 5 statements, you can see that most of them, all of them, seem to hold out the promise that we can improve ourselves, or that our behaviour, our actions aren't all our fault. So we only use 10% of our brain. Well, imagine if we use 20%, we'd be twice as clever, twice as fast, remember twice as much, solve twice as many problems. So maybe, like coming to university, you can use 30% of your brain, 40% of your brain, and achieve more. It holds out that promise of self-improvement. If creative people make more use of the right-hand side of their brain, then by training yourself to make more use of the right-hand side of your brain, you can become more creative. There's an offer again of self-improvement. Thought contents can be identified from brainwaves. Okay, maybe that one doesn't fit this general schema. Subliminal advertising works. Well, there, you bought that big red sports car because of the advertising. You're drinking that fizzy drink because of the advertising. It's not your fault. You know you shouldn't, but it was those darn subliminal adverts that made you do it, absolving you from guilt. People with larger brains are more intelligent. It's not my fault I'm not intelligent. It's my genetics. It's my parents' fault. I just can't help it. My brain's too small, and I only use 10% of it. Anyway. So, I'm absolving myself of guilt. So these false beliefs also fit into that schema of reassuring yourself that it's not your fault and things could be better.